Jack.
Unlikely that happened. Unlikely.
Board gets bogged down a little bit in the mirror, I'm sure.
I find that rather unlikely here, but I suppose anything could happen. We're going to watch a deck with Terminus go against the Soldier strategy. I don't know what to think. I'm going to imagine...
Godspeed, Joseph.
I imagine this leans towards miracles, but stranger things have happened here on the Open Series.
That is true. We've had ley lines beat miracles.
That's true.
That has happened.
That is very true. And Oops All Spells beat a Delver deck where it tried to go off on turn 1 and failed due to Force Will and won anyway.
Yep.
So, again, anything can happen. That's why they play the games.
And first turn Chalice of the Void is a real weapon out of Joseph's deck. He does have 4 copies of Ancient Tomb to facilitate this. He's only playing 18 lands.
Joseph rolled a 7. Ooh, that's a 6. Soldier's on the play. That's step 1 of many. I like where we're at. A handshake to get things going.
And here's the thing. If you're in... We know this. You're in Ethan's position now. Not a player with a huge resume. You're 3-1-1. You get called to the feature match area. You're put on camera. You know your opponent's up to something. There's no way that there isn't something crazy going on with your opponent's deck.
Yep. And there is certainly something going on pretty crazy in Joseph Mutschler's deck. Take a look at the opening hand. You see some planes, Caracas. You're thinking death and taxes. You're wrong. Not even close.
A red Elemental Blast in Ethan's hand.
Nice.
Not going to be good here.
Planes, pass. Ethan will draw a card. It's a copy of Flooded Strand.
4 copies of Suppression Field main deck in this list as well.
Not to be confused with Suspension Field.
Yes. Even though it's confusing that there's 2 cards named that.
That's true. 2 mana. Here is Suppression Field. Oh, those activated abilities are going to cost a little bit more now.
Mm-hmm. There's also 4 copies of Chrome Mox in Joseph's list, which also facilitates the turn 1 Chalice of the Void opening.
I'm going to sacrifice this Flooded Strand. Search up a little land here. And to be fair, all kidding aside, Ethan, as you mentioned, probably has no idea what he's up against. You know, he probably knows that his opponent's deck is probably pretty creative, which is why he's in the feature match area. He can probably deduce that, but he doesn't really have any idea what's going to happen next. And I think that actually gives Mutschler a pretty big advantage.
So, if I'm Ethan right now, my best guess is probably some sort of prison deck.
Yep.
Some sort of Armageddon stacks deck, which is not even close to what Joseph's doing.
No. Here's a Brainstorm. Time to take a look at the top 3. Hit 1, 2, and 3. Of course, 2 cards will be coming back here in just a moment. You see an island. That's a Swords of Plowshares, and that is another island. So Terminus among the cards. There's a red Elemental Blast as well. Now Suppression Field is in. We'll go back Ethan's way. Flooded Strand the draw. An island. Is it time for Counterbalance? Looks like it is. So that's going to come into play. Now we can't forget the Counterbalance is a triggered effect. It's not an activated ability, so it'll work just fine underneath Suppression Field. Looks like it's time to deploy Caracas. And what is the follow-up going to be?
Maybe time to reveal the mystery.
2, 3. Chalice of the Void. And I actually kind of like this. So this Chalice is going to be for 1.
See what's being communicated here, because Joseph has 3 mana in his pool right now.
I think the judge is going to take a look to see exactly how much you can cast this for. I'm not sure this works the way that he wants it to, which is you can pay 3 mana for it, because he's trying to do like the interaction with Engineer Explosives where you overpay for your card so that you can work your way around Counterbalance.
But the reason that works with Engineer Explosives is because of Sunburst.
Correct.
It's a specific wording of that keyword that allows you to do that.
Which is, of course, a little bit confusing, but you can't do the Chalice of the Void. You have to pay the necessary mana. So you can't dump XX, you can't dump 3 into an XX card.
Right. And this Resolve Chalice is going to be tough for Ethan. I mean, he's got Brainstorm and Swords of Plowshares already in hand.
Here's a Chrome Mox. And you actually see the way that Joseph's playing this game, he's actually kind of waiting for Ethan to trigger his counterbalance, and he's not. Here's a Thalia. So because that's just not happening, he's just kind of free rolling here, honestly.
Yeah, sure. And Ethan's in a lot of trouble already. His Divine Top can't be cast, and even if it could be cast, would be very challenging to use. A lot of 1-mana spells in his hand. Thalia puts a crimp on certain things.
Now, to be fair, Ethan didn't know the top card of his deck was a Elemental Blast from the Brainstorm, so that might be part of the reason that the counterbalance was not being triggered.
Oh no, he knew that. There's nothing for him to do.
Yeah. Thalia's going to come across for 2. Let's see what the follow-up here is going to be for Mutschler. It's an Ancient Tomb. It's going to take 2 damage right away. Give me something big. 4, 5. I think I'm getting what I asked for. That is a Captain of the Watch.
There are 4 of these in Joseph's deck.
We're going to trigger counterbalance.
Terminus.
That is an out. That is actually an out in this situation. Take a look. Sensei's Divine Top. That's a whammy.
That one's getting shoveled away.
Yeah, I probably don't want to draw that one. Time for some soldiers to join the party.
And now Ethan knows why I got a feature match on camera at 3-1-1.
It has been revealed. The jig is up, as they say. Here's a Flooded Strand. There are 3 soldier tokens for the captain.
And Ethan there has to pay 2 to play through the suppression field. Even though suppression field says mana ability, Flooded Strand is not a mana ability, it's just an ability.
Correct.
It itself does not generate mana, so.
This is pretty awesome.
This is awesome. Welcome to weirdness. Legacy does have its charms.
It's why it's my favorite format.
In its ideal form, it is awesome.
It's time to draw a card. Is it a miracle? Ayah. It is not a Terminus. It is just an Arid Mesa. Now, Ethan actually does have a copy of Terminus in his hand, I believe.
Well, he has to get to 7 mana, and he's going to be dead long before he gets to 7 mana, given Joseph's current board.
Thalia, of course, making him pay the tax. You can see the hand is 1-drops. There's a Red Blast, which is, of course, horrible in this matchup. A Brainstorm, which he'd love to be able to cast, but the Chalice won't let him. The Terminus that he's got to pay 7 mana to cast.
4 copies of Captain of the Watch is a lot of copies of Captain of the Watch.
It's a lot of that card. It's a lot of that card. Here's an attack. Take that. Look at the beatdowns.
Well, this is just a ton.
And of course, these creatures. Well, we're gonna hold. It says, hold on, just a moment, please. Want to know how big all these creatures are? How much damage am I taking? What exactly is happening? And do the count there, and you see the soldiers are not tapping because they have vigilance due to the captain.
Nice synergy.
Yes. Good on offense and defense. Play both sides of the ball.
Absolutely.
Gonna sacrifice his Arid Mesa. Get another land out of the deck. Hope to draw Terminus.
Are there any copies of Supreme Verdict or Wrath of God or anything like that in here?
Day of Judgment-esque cards. Do the check here. I don't see any in the main deck. Sometimes you'll see players play 1 copy of Supreme Verdict. I don't see it there in the main deck, so no. Not a lot to really get out of this situation.
So it
outside
looks
of
like
killing Terminus.
This is Terminus or bust, because Ethan's at 3, so even Entreat doesn't do anything.
Yep.
Council's Judgment, that's not enough.
What this means is we might only have 1 more draw step.
Yeah, I think he's on Terminus or bust right now.
Yeah. Hiya! Oh, is it the whammy? It is not the whammy. It is a Vendilion Click. This is an island. Pass the turn back. Joseph will draw a card. Didn't get a great look at it. What I do know is everybody's attacking.
I think Ethan trying to keep up appearances.
Yeah. So what we're going to see here is a Vendilion Click. He's going to target himself. And this is the chance to hit. Terminus is going to go on the bottom. What do you say? Yeah. Oh! A terminus off of the top. The miracle trigger. Now he's going to have to pay another 1 because of Thalia. So that's definitely the thing that's going to happen, but that is a beating.
Ethan on the ropes, found his out.
Yep. Played to it. Hit it. Game will continue.
Oh, in that spot, I'm not sure why Joseph didn't just pick up the. He has a backup Thalia. I would have picked up the Thalia that he had in play with the Caracas rather, and just.
Counterbalance trigger. It's a Scalding Tarn. That's not going to do it. Pass the turn back. That'll be Ethan's draw for the turn. Again, Ethan's still stuck here with all 1-mana spells.
Not out of this by a long shot.
Yeah, he still gets another draw step. Though that Scalding Tarn, not great in this situation because Thalia, of course, will attack for 2, put him to 1, and then he can't actually break the Tarn because that'll kill him. So let's see what Joseph draws. Another Combination Tomb. That's no help. Here's a simple attack for 2. Ethan's going to go down to 1. See what the draw step yields. That is a Vendilion Click.
Not that much help. It does give him an opportunity to click himself, but doesn't even trade with Thalia because of first strike. You can also use Caracas to clear it out.
So long as he does see it. Pass the turn back. Take a draw. Ethan is hoping he doesn't see it. Let's see what this is going to be. Another copy of Suppression Field. Counterbalance trigger. Take a look, Skipoo. It's a counter spell. That's countered. Here's an attack. This is going to be his best attempt at a block.
Yep. Can't recast the click either. He doesn't have enough blue mana. So Joseph can go ahead and just Caracas this thing away and get the kill. We'll see what he does.
Ethan going to draw the counter spell. Does he see the Caracas plus pay for it? He does not. So Ethan is given an extra turn.
This could be Entreat. This could be another Terminus.
Let's see what this is. That's not a miracle. It's a Source of Plowshares he can't cast. He'll pass the turn back. Joseph will draw. The coast is as clear as it's ever been.
Just has to move to combat.
Yep. Ethan trying to show a lot of strength here with 5 cards in his hand.
Well, you know, Joseph didn't go for the kill last turn, so.
Yep. There's an attack, and that is going to do it. Soldiers, yes, Soldiers is up a game over Miracles.
Captain of the Watch is a lot of damage.
You're not wrong.
When I saw Captain of the Watch on the deck list, I thought I knew what it was, but I thought there's no way that it's Captain of the Watch. That's impossible.
Yeah,
there must be some.
I wouldn't play Captain of the Watch.
It must be some card from Barrage that I've forgotten about. There's no way it's the 6-mana one, but it was.
We'll take a look at the sideboards here for Miracles, where we have 2 Pyroblasts, a Red Elemental Blast, not for this matchup. Council's Judgment, Counterbalance, 3 copies of Stoneforge Mystic, and a Batter Skull on the board, along with 2 Rest in Peace, a Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Flusterstorm, and a Pithing Needle. Unsurprisingly, not a lot of hate against the Soldiers deck.
One in the Stoneforge Mystic package is pretty good here, because there's a chance that Joseph bails on most of his creature removal, and Stoneforge plus Batter Skull could be a game-winning play on its own.
It is a plan.
Yes.
That's for sure. What do we see on the other side?
A Thorn of Amethyst, 3 copies of Armageddon, 4 Rest in Peace, 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 3 Oblivion Ring. I like the 3 copies of Armageddon for sure. I think the Thorn and the 3 Oblivion Rings are a bit narrow, but they may come in.
Okay. I can see these things.
But the Armageddons are excellent. If he gets ahead on the board, Armageddon's a game winner.
Sure. I hope to see that happen. Armageddon, one of my favorite cards of all time. So
Spike.
That's me. That is certainly me. While we do wait for game number 2 here between Soldiers and Miracles, we will talk about our states and regionals program that we do have coming here next year. Pro Tour weekends, we will be running these sweet events.
Been so popular that we're turning this into a year-round thing. They're going to be available every single time there's a Pro Tour weekend. Regionals will be in the winter and summer. State championships in the spring and autumn. The next one coming up will be Winter Regionals, February 7th and 8th. The state championships will be held 1 per state. Regional championships will be fewer of them as they are regional in nature. Play for Open Series points, play mats, prizes, medals, see it all here. Again, every Pro Tour weekend, so make sure to check these tournaments out if you're not qualified for the PTs.
And we have a sweet playmat for February 7th and 8th regionals. Pretty exciting. We've taken all of our squirrels and we've jammed them together on one mat.
Look at that squad. We've been rolling these things out over the course of the year now. They're finally all together in one hilarious and adorable playmat.
Free exclusive playmat to the first 200 players that do sign up for regionals February 7th and the 8th for our winter regionals. Head to starcitygames.com/regionals for more information on this playmat and the tournament in general. Plant your flag February 7th and the 8th. Going to be a lot of fun that weekend.
I'm really excited that we're turning this into a year-long thing because people really want more high-end organized play. Very few people in the scheme of things are qualified for Pro Tour, so to provide these tournaments, Pro Tour weekends, for the vast majority of players who can't participate in the Pro Tour, I think is an awesome thing.
I agree with you. Should be a lot of fun, just like this match right here. Both these players sitting at 3-1-1. Ethan Heilicher a little surprised, maybe, of what happened in that last game. I would be too. The Soldiers, one game away from being 4-1-1 here in Minneapolis.
And we're on a light side of 9 rounds here, so unless Joseph took a loss in the draw to start the tournament, basically, could be in the running for top 8 still.
Very much could be.
A lot of rounds to go.
Yep.
But alive and kicking.
We'll see Ethan finish shuffling up, and then game number 2 will be underway. If you guys are just joining us, Senator Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Open Series here in Minneapolis. At SCG Live, hashtag SCGMINN for your tweets.
What are your thoughts on Legacy Kithkin? How would you go about building that deck?
Stop it. Just stop. You're
Well,
better
here's
than
Joseph here, the faithful soldier, with his Soldiers deck. 3-1-1. You are the resident Kithkin expert. Your most iconic deck, your signature tournament performance.
Yes.
Could you port this over to Legacy?
How many different ways can I say no?
I mean, one will do, but you're disappointing me and most likely disappointing the viewers at
All right,
home.
we'll start off with Figure of Destiny and Gold Medal Stalwart.
Okay.
2 drops. So do I have to stay with, do they have to all be Kithkin?
Well,
Yeah, for example.
let's go over. Let's look at Joseph's deck here, shall we?
Sure.
Waxon Gatekeeper, Thalia, Captain of the Watch, Enlistment Officer, Daru War Chief, Premium Captain, Field Marshal, Ballyrush Banneret. Yeah, I'd say they all have to be Kithkin.
They all have to be Kithkin, so I can't dabble in Stoneforge Mystic, which is a core artificer.
Oh, come on, man.
I wanted to
Lame.
know. I wanted to know before I moved forward. That's all. I can play some real nice ones if I'd like. Here's an Ancient Tomb. Is it time for perhaps a Chalice on one? Looks like the answer is yes. Here's an attempt. See if this resolves here. You see Force of Will, along with Jason, counterbalance as far as cards to remove.
Yep. And the last part of his hand is a Batter Skull, so not a great hand for Ethan here if he's forced to use this Force of Will, which I feel like he has to on this Chalice.
I think so too. Chalice was really good last game. We'll get back to the Kithkin deck in a little bit.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Vendilion click the draw. Here's an island.
Vendilion Click is a nice piece of glue for this hand here. Gives him something to do on turn 3, allows him to put the Batter Skull back in his deck if he wants to.
There are worse spots to be in.
Given how soft his hand was, Vendilion Click among the better draws they could have had that turn.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here. This is going to be a Batter Skull, of course. Or excuse me, a counterbalance. Batter Skull much further down the road.
I have to wait on that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Cavern.
pretty good against Counterbalance.
Accurate. 2 mana. Maybe another attempt here at a Chalice. It looks like we might be going through this. Now this is a preeminent captain. Best of luck countering that.
I love these white creatures because Legacy's dominated by things, like Vendilion Click. You know what Vendilion Click's not good at? Brawling with cards like this.
That's true. That's very true. You see the sword and the shield.
Yeah, 2/2 First Strike. Best of luck.
I do like that 2/2 first strike is just lights out.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are you blocking it with? Tell me what you're blocking it with.
Here's an island.
And who knows what that thing's going to bring into play next turn.
Yeah, that's true. Take a draw here. There's another counter souls. You have to imagine that's naming soldier.
Good call. I like that play. And Ethan just trying to figure out where it all went wrong.
See what this is going to be. Got to be careful. There's a Thalia. Okay. Check with counterbalance? Sure. Put the trigger on the stack. At least no need to check. Trigger.
Here we go. Oh, he's going to click in response.
I like it. I like it. Take the best soldier out of the grip. So here's the hand.
Oh.
Well, 2 pair.
Yep.
There are 2 Battle Rush Banneret and then 2 enlistment officers.
Honestly, it's really ambitious to hope that Joseph has nothing to put into play here. I think Ethan may have been better served just clicking himself and putting the Batter Skull back on the bottom of his deck because he needs to find, with the Brainstorm in hand, if he finds a Terminus, things are okay. And now this is happening.
Now the Battle Rush Banneret is one of these cards. Again, it is a Kithkin. I do know that. So maybe this could be in the Kithkin deck. Okay. And then Enlistment Officer is our other friend. One of those is going to go to the bottom. Mystery card coming. So we will write these cards down, I believe, very quickly, as Joseph will draw a mystery card off of the click. See, Ethan wants to make sure he knows exactly what these cards do here, and I was going to try to go about beating them.
So I think the Preeminent Captain trigger is still on the stack here.
Yes, it is.
We'll see what Joseph chooses to drop into play.
Yeah, Enlistment Officer, dog. Get in there.
It's a Goblin Ringleader.
For soldiers, hit 1, and 2 is Thalia, 3 is Chromox, 4 is Suppression Field. Not the best I've ever seen. That's okay.
That's okay.
That also has first strike, mind you. Vanillian Click cannot rumble.
Yeah. Joseph's deck, it's board right now entirely composed of first strike creatures.
Yep.
So.
Let's see what the top card is. Is there any Terminus action here? Nope, just the planes. Now Joseph needs to get a move on here because Ethan is 1 land away from a Batter Skull, which probably is quite the issue. I suppose because Thalia's in play is actually 2 lands away, so I take that back. Vanillian Click gonna get in the red zone because, well, can't block.
Not meant for this kind of combat.
Not at all.
Vidillion Click, a little more delicate, a little more fancy. Not really equipped to brawl with these kind of creatures.
Joseph's going to draw a card. Didn't get a great look at it. Looks like it may have been a Chalice of the Void. It's time to cast a spell. There is Bally Rush Banneret. Trigger the counterbalance. That's 2 mana. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Well, it's possible Ethan wants to know what the top card of his deck is as much as anything else there.
This is true. Here's an attack, 4/6. And Ethan may be curious if that's a Terminus on top or something, because he does have a Brainstorm in his hand.
It definitely influences the Brainstorm and how Ethan wants to take his draw step next turn, so.
Got ourselves a Preeminent Captain trigger. What to put in is the question. It does have to be a soldier. And how about another Preeminent Captain?
Yeah, he's able to find one. He's able to find a soldier.
Now, the other Preeminent Captain does not trigger, in case you guys are wondering at home.
As it attacks,
Yes.
you can do something, so we've passed that point.
So this is an attack for 8. Heilicher are going to go down to 6. All of a sudden facing lethal next turn. Joseph going to tap the Ancient Tomb, go down to 11. This is a Chalice of the Void for 1. I have a feeling Ethan will have a response. So that is countered. And now here's a Brainstorm.
But there's still 10 power in play. There's still 10 power in play versus 2 theoretical chump blockers if all Ethan can do is put together a Stoneforge Mystic.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
There's the Boogeyman.
Never mind.
It looks like the Fun Police may have shown
Yep.
up. Good old Terminus.
Evil triumphs over good once again.
It really does. 2 mana Terminus, mind you. So they're all going to go to the bottom, along with Vendilion Click. No more soldier fun. Ethan even has the ability to cast a Stoneforge Mystic this turn, too.
Yep.
Take the batter skull. Sweet cards, Ethan.
Yep. Protagonist triumphs over adversity. That's not how real life works.
It's tough to watch.
It is painful.
Joseph will draw a card. Another copy of the banneret.
Probably some other fun card that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. What do we have here? Looks like we've got a banneret. And perhaps a Thalia?
I guess it's conceivable that Joseph could cobble together enough first strike to prevent the batter skull from doing much for a little while.
Oh,
Come on.
Jace revealed to counterbalance. Here's Thalia. Now it's getting ugly.
Yep.
Heilicher going to draw his Jace the Mind Sculptor. Pass the turn back. Ready to activate Stoneforge Mist to put Batter Skull into play. Joseph will draw a card. It's a copy of Field Marshal.
Okay. Those of you who can't see Cedric making a field marshal gesture at the screen.
I'm holding an invisible javelin right now. Holding off the opponent with my first strike is what I am doing. I imagine that Joseph will be doing the same shortly. There's the field marshal, a little bit cheaper thanks to the banneret. Other soldiers, not the marshal, get +1/+1 and have first strike.
So that gives him 6 points of first strike right now, which means that even the batter skull on the Stoneforge Mystic is not in a position to attack. So Joseph has at least generated a staring match for a little while.
Ignoring that, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Right. We'll get to that problem later.
Okay, sure. One step at a time.
Step one.
Yep.
This is step one.
Batter Skull, living weapon trigger. We will have a Brian Bronduin join the party. And I think that Ethan is considering sacrificing the Flooded Strand here.
Modern players, pairings for round
One thing I will say, both of these players do have a draw. They have to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah. Now he kind of has to, I guess he kind of has to sacrifice the land anyway because he needs a 5th mana to be able to cast Jace.
So now the question is just, do I sacrifice it now? I mean, he knows the top card of his deck is not all that exciting. So trying to figure out exactly what he does want to do. Looks like he's just going to draw that land. And because he knows that there doesn't land on top of the deck. Now, as you mentioned, he will need a 5th land to actually cast Jace, so I'm going to have to unwind. So you see the unwind there.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep, needs a 5th land for Jace because Thalia is in play. That'll be a game rules violation. And now Jace is going to bounce the Field Marshal, and now Batter Skull is safe to attack.
And Joseph's life total is lower than you would anticipate because he's tapped his Ancient Tomb so many times.
And 3 or 4 times in this game. Joseph's going to draw a card. Can he overcome all these powerful cards in play?
Another Ancient Tomb not helping.
The answer is no.
Yep.
Jace, Stoneforge, Mystic, and Batter Skull are a little too much.
But just barely. But just barely.
Yeah, you see Joseph's friend behind him, patting him on the back.
Shake it off.
Yeah,
Shake that off.
You'll be fine. Shake it off, as T Swift would say.
That's one game.
That's why they give you 3.
You're about to be on the play with Armageddon.
That's what I'm talking about.
Get him.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Blow up all his lands. That's winning Magic. Game number 3 going to be underway here shortly.
There are definitely elements of Joseph's deck that are problematic for Ethan. Terminus is tough for Joseph to beat. That's the big thing.
Yeah, of course. First strike is tough for Ethan to beat.
How about that?
Yeah. Terminus is lame. It's also just really good. And for Joseph, you're hoping your opponent doesn't draw one. We can get a little Chalice action again. That Brainstorm was pretty important.
Yes.
As Brainstorm often is. Powerful match.
Understatement of the match so far.
Thank you very much.
Really important brainstorm there.
It was a really good Magic card, in case you were unaware. Let's see what else this match has in store. It's been a fun one so far.
This is great to watch. Both players still fighting for a top 8 berth potentially. And again, it's nice when you get to see decks like this in Legacy.
Yeah.
The card pool is vast. Ideally, the format should celebrate this fact. Often it doesn't because the powerful decks are powerful and the powerful cards are powerful, and that's just what happens. But getting to watch Joseph do cool, synergistic things at 3-1-1 is really fun.
And trust me, we'll have plenty of treasure cruises in Delver Secrets later.
Yeah.
Those decks often rise to the top. So if you're looking for that action soon enough, believe you me.
Joseph out here just fighting the good fight.
Absolutely. An underdog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Players, welcome to
And Ethan, the perfect villain for the matchup.
I think
stomped.
mostly because of the beard.
The beard.
Yeah.
Got stomped game 1, pulled out a squeaker game 2. Can Joseph do it?
The hoodie with nothing on it.
Ethan seems like a very nice guy for the record.
Probably
I'm just
is a
saying.
nice guy, yeah. Playing the role of the enemy, though.
Playing the role of the
to a
enemy.
T.
He knows it too.
Yeah. Looks a little like Keanu Reeves. Don't know if you noticed that. It's a little there. Looks
All
like
right.
Joseph's gonna take a mulligan.
And Ethan is keeping a 1-land brainstorm hand.
Oh boy.
So, a couple ways for this to go bad. One is misses with the brainstorm. The other is turn 1 chalice for 1.
This is true.
Which his hand cannot protect himself against.
No,
right?
he has a
There's
force will. He has a force
Oh, he has
will.
a force?
Yep.
Okay, never mind. All right, this is, I guess, a legitimate keep.
Forceful to defend himself, brainstorm to work his way out of keeping a sketcher. That's the big plan. Also gets to draw a card every turn. One of the best parts about Magic.
The old implied 10-card hand argument.
Yeah, yeah. I'll keep this.
Because I have 3 draw steps to make the hand fine.
That's correct.
Would you mulligan a 10-card hand? No, obviously not.
Probably not. No.
This type of logic has gotten people into trouble, just so you know.
You're saying it may have led to a loss or two.
You would be stupid to mulligan a 10-card hand, so I'm keeping this.
Well, there's at least one land over there. I think I see a Chrome box too. There's the Geddon.
2 get-ins.
Yikes.
Well, that's fine. He's got a Chrome box. So it's
A little Geddon overload. There's Chrome box. Does that resolve? It does. Put a Geddon on there. Do we have a follow-up?
it's got a chalice.
The answer is yes. That's a force of will. Removing a counter spell. You see the last 2 cards, I believe, are Field Marshal and Armageddon. Draw a counterbalance. Play an island past the turn back. Joseph will draw. It's a Plains.
That's nice.
We are cooking with gas.
That's a threat.
Ethan says that resolves. Draw a card. It's a land, a fetch land. Pretty good with a brainstorm. Stoneforge Mystic as well. One could argue the perfect draw step.
Yep. I like the discipline of Ethan there. Not brainstorming at the end of Joseph's turn.
I love not brainstorming there.
Take 1 extra draw because he needs to hit land number 2.
Yep.
It's worth taking a turn off of casting Stoneforge just to give yourself a slightly better chance of finding the second land.
So Ethan marked himself down to 19 due to that force of will earlier. Looks like he's going to sacrifice the fetch land now. Search up either a Plains or a Tundra, I would imagine. We'll get the Tundra. And it could be Stoneforge Mystic time. Looks like it will be. Time to go searching. Perhaps for a little Batter Skull action.
There's no other equipment in this deck. It's just the 1 Batter Skull.
Okay, fair enough. Living Weapon will be joining the party probably pretty soon.
Stoneforge Mystic is very good against Joseph's deck.
Good against most decks.
Some more than others.
Yeah.
The sideboard package that Ethan has access to, not in every single counterbalance deck, and it's definitely pulled its weight here post-board.
Value of the draw.
No, I
Yeah.
think that might be a captain of the watch.
Oh, really? Did I see that wrong? I think you're right. It was a captain of the watch. We're a little ways away from that.
Also, it does not synergize that well with the Armageddon in hand.
Well,
Somewhere down the line, maybe it does.
you play the captain first, and the Armageddon second.
It's a good board to get in on.
Yeah. Here's an island. Joseph will draw a card. Another copy of Field Marshal.
Ooh, they're a combo when they're in the play together.
Other soldiers, they help each other
They
out.
are now, yeah. They're like a team.
See if this Field Marshal resolves. Looks like it will. Ethan, real tough guy with his batter skull. It's going to come into play.
Yep.
This is a powerful magic card. He will draw a card. Picks up a Plains.
Hasn't even had to brainstorm for his land drops.
No.
Just coming off the top.
There is the Plains. Attack with the batter skull. Ethan up to 20. Joseph down to 16. We'll flip the life totals. And now here's a counterbalance. Pass the turn back. Joseph going to draw a card. Chalice of the Void, a little late to the party.
Well, it's not that bad here because a Chalice locks out a lot of draws down the line and forces the hand on the Source of Plowshares now if Ethan has it.
Does have some one-mana spells, Brainstorm and Swords. We're going to check the counterbalance first, see if there's a 2. There's Terminus. Don't know if he actually needs to cast that one next turn. He can work his way through the Field Marshals pretty easily.
I think it's pretty risky to cast next turn.
Ethan is just deciding how much he cares about this Chalice at this point, because he does have a Force of Will and a Brainstorm. So that, that would be the blue card that he would remove, leaving himself with just a Swords.
Well, I think he either has to cast the Brainstorm or Force of Will this Chalice because the Brainstorm gets locked out if this Chalice resolves.
Yep.
And this seems like the easiest thing to do.
I think so.
This Chalice, if the game goes on for a long time, creates all sorts of problems for Ethan. So even though it doesn't seem that relevant right now, I just don't think it's worth Ethan trying to play through it.
I think the best way to look at Chalice is annoying in this situation. And you just don't want to have to worry about that. Here's an attack. 12 to 23. Swords and Terminus in hand. Soldier's going to draw a card. That's a preeminent captain. That thing's big. It's a 4/4 with first strike. Triple first strike, really.
Yeah.
Counterbalance trigger. Island.
So this means that Joseph can try to block next turn with just the preeminent captain. In the event that Ethan has a Source of Plowshares to get rid of something, I guess he loses too much on that block. He's still not really in a position to safely block.
Yeah, a lot would go wrong.
I guess he can block with everything. Block with everything is safe here, right?
That would be better, but he would lose a lot of stuff.
No, it all first strikes, right? So
Oh, no, you're right.
he has one removal spell, and that's okay. Life goes on.
Okay, so if he blocks with everything and you Source of Plowshares the Field Marshal,
The other Field Marshal loses first strike.
correct. And
So-
+1/+1.
Still not in a position
Yeah.
to block safely against Source of Plowshares.
Yeah. The House of Cards comes crumbling down if there's a triple block. So I don't think we're going to see that. But
Joseph's
It's
got some
possible.
life points to play with, and if he finds another soldier, now blocking becomes really attractive. He has a lot of first striking power, so I think it's a little risky now for Joseph to make a move on a block if Ethan sends everything in. Better probably just to hold the fort for a little bit.
Ethan going to think long and hard about this. He knows his top card is an island. He's just trying to figure out if he's going to sword something here.
Because once Joseph gets the board to the point where Ethan can't block with the batter skull anymore, he might be even able to fire off the Armageddon.
Yeah.
And start the game over with a Chromox in play and just play draw step to draw step.
And that game is much different. There's swords on the captain.
And this is actually a pretty big victory for Joseph because he knows the last card is Terminus, which means next turn, unless Ethan rips a Source of Plowshare or some other removal spell, this Batterskull is not in a position to...
Well, he knows what he's drawing. He revealed the counterbalance, so he knows that he's drawing an island.
So now Joseph's in a position where the Batterskull can't attack. In fact, even if it moves on to the Stoneforge Mystic, Joseph has 6 points of first striking blockers. So Ethan, by using the Source of Plowshares there, is freeing up Joseph now to safely block.
The draw was a Chromox. Oh, man. I would imprint.
You just want to snap him
I
off
would
here.
get him so bad.
I like get in here with 2 boxes in play.
Yeah.
It's pretty attractive.
I would get him so fast. Now, of course, the Chromox has to resolve through the counterbalance, but if I was in Joseph's spot and my Chromox does resolve, I would get him so fast. Ugh.
And now this is...
This is the consequence. Because now Gettin is off. That is no longer an option. As there are now 3 4/4 flyers in play.
So close.
Yep.
Both games Joseph has lost here post-board were right in his fingertips at various points.
It's tough too because Chromox is like the perfect card to draw too, because then you're left behind with 2 mana sources.
2 boxes and 6 power first strike on the back.
And now you're just playing draw go against your opponent.
Who's going to play draw go a lot worse than you do, most likely.
Yeah.
With your 2 mana in play and how cheap your deck is.
Gonna move the Batterskull over. This will allow an attack for 16 exactly in the air. You can count Batterskull as 4. All the Angels is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and that's gonna do it. Ethan Heilicher is gonna win this match. Miracles, the bad guy, taking down Soldiers.